This is Battle of the Challenges podcast with famous Dave.
And rated E for everyone, Vincent Cloud. Yeah, see, now I have the nickname, Dave.
All right. I like it. Rated E for everyone.
I want to be accessible. I don't know. Some people see me and
A Muddy Matter.
A Muddy Matter. That's not like a parody title like Die Another J.
Yeah.
Kind of lame.
The worst title of the season so far.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A Muddy Matter. Do you have the views?
No, I don't.
No, come on.
Trending down.
It did. I checked it. I think it's like I don't remember it now. But it was. It did go down. Yeah.
Yeah, because last week was like a previous all-time high, so it's naturally going to dip down. It's like the stock market. There's highs and lows.
Yeah. And if your GameStop, it all of a sudden gets high, right? You want to be topical.
There's people out there still holding on to a GameStop. They're like, no, it's still worth something. It's like, no, it's worth nothing.
So Dave, you got the notes. Let's run through this, motherfucker.
I'm going to be hosting this podcast here. First off, we start off with Leroy and Cam. They're both coming back from their elimination. Leroy just had his dominant win over Jay. The most impressive thing that Leroy's ever done. Good for him. And now it's, Leroy and Cam are the king and queen of the house. They're in charge. It is almost kind of like Cara Maria and Paulie on that season where they were just in charge of everything. You remember that?
Yeah. War of the Worlds 2.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of that. So Leroy is, he's happy. He's like, but there's a long road to go. He's like, back to the drawing board. And Cam starts saying that the next move that they want to do is she wants Teresa to go home. And she wants to have Teresa versus Casey or Teresa versus Lolo. But she wants to wait until there's a female rogue agent. So that way she knows it's going to be a girls' elimination day.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Did she say that in front of Leroy, who is Casey's partner? Because that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
And it's kind of strange because it's like, if you're Leroy, you want Casey to stay there because you want to run the final with Casey. Like Leroy, right?
Well, that's what he said. He did say that after he won, and he decided to not switch partners. But I was shocked about that. I assumed they didn't want to work together. And now Cam is saying, actually, honey, you got confused. We don't want to work with her. You should have switched partners, you fucking idiot. You fucking, but they cut that scene. Yeah.
Cam is definitely in charge in this relationship. She was wearing the pants for sure. And the thing is like, does Cam really want Lolo to go into an elimination? Because Lolo would probably win, and I don't think they want to face Lolo in a final, or at least Lolo doesn't think that. She thinks that they're trying to keep her out of a final. I'm not even sure that Lolo would win a final. If there's puzzles and weird janky carnival games, like Lolo is going to struggle.
Right.
Like, I don't know. She hasn't been overly impressive this year. I'm still waiting for it. Maybe she's, a late bloomer. That is kind of her style, but
I'm wondering if Cam is like, she'd be a terrible partner. She's just gonna like bitch and complain and shit. Whoever's with her in the final or whatever. But maybe Cam is like, seriously, she's like, I am the best competitor here. No Tori, no who else is gone? You know what I mean? Like she is the best competitor there, I would say. And yeah, no Ashley. So maybe Cam is like, hey, I got my gold skull. I have my Leroy here, the fucking knucklehead. But we're gonna go in the final. Now it's just clear sailing from here. But she did say Lolo against Casey, maybe just so Casey's not in there, and she could give a damn if Lolo's there or not. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Teresa or Casey could beat Cam in a final if they're paired with like Fessy and Fessy doesn't gas out, or if those girls are teamed with like CT, if it's like CT and Casey or CT and Teresa, I feel like they would have a good chance at winning too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So next in the house, they cut to Nam and Lolo, which is pretty interesting because we've always talked about their terrible communication. And Nam is saying, we really need to win tomorrow. I have to do this for Jay. And I was like, yeah, it's like Jay, his friend in the game. Then I'm like, wait, Jay just got sent home. Like, why? Nam, like, you don't need to be doing stuff for Jay anymore. He's not. But in honor of Jay, because Nam's such a nice friend, he wants to go and win for Jay. And then Lolo starts asking Nam if Nam trusts Leroy and Cam, and Lolo says she needs to win because no one's going to put her into elimination because they don't want her to get to the final. And Nam is kind of saying that he wants to work with like Leroy and some of the guys with their votes, and Lolo kind of shuts him down, is like, no, I don't want to do this. So how did you feel about that?
Well, first of all, Lolo is correct in like Nam's not part of that whatever alliance that Leroy and Cam are. You know, I didn't think so, you know. And so it's correct, and yeah, we know that Nam, we know that Cam. Whenever I see Nam and Cam, like the letters next to each other, I want to say either Calm or Nam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get them confused. But yeah, I think they're both correct. They are, but they're not. Again, it's about communication. They're actually arguing the same point, but they just aggravate each other. Like I really wish. I hope that they separate eventually. They're no good for each other. It's toxic. yeah, for sure.
Well, okay, so here's my problem with this thought is that like Lolo is saying, oh, they're just using you, Nam. You're a rookie, and they're just using you as a pawn. And then once they're done using you, they're just going to throw you away. It's like, but if they're going to throw you away or throw you in, that's what you want. So, like, you literally, both of them are like, we need to win a mission so that we can go in and get our skull. But then she doesn't want to get into an alliance because somehow that's risky. No, it's not risky because the worst thing that can happen is they send you in. So it's fine to make friends, or at least try to, especially if you're trying to get into an elimination.
Is this when CT pops in with his mug? He's like, listen, you got to work together. Right?
Yeah. He's like, get your shit together, go out there, win a daily challenge, and then you'll be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, what's next, Dave? Isn't there the mission? Let's get to the action.
Okay. Well, first, before we get to the mission, there's all the guys are sitting around in that like deliberation area where there's Leroy, Kyle, Corey, Devin, and Mekchi. And Devin is saying to Kyle is they're basically coming up with plans on how they want to screw over Fessy because they want to send Fessy home because Kyle is still angry that he got sent in and blindsided by Fessy. Fessy's a big part of the Big Brother Alliance. So Devin and Kyle are like, what we have to do is we have to set it up. So it's Fessy versus Josh. And somehow Josh wins. And then everyone can go against Josh because he sucks and they can beat him and take his skull. None of this makes any sense because there's no way Josh would ever beat Fessy. Like in literally anything, any type of elimination, there's no way that would happen. So I get that they want to get rid of Fessy, but if you want to get rid of Fessy, you need to have him go against either Nam or CT or Darrell. Like those are the options to get rid of Fessy. Josh is not going to get rid of Fessy. Yeah,
he's a big guy, though. You don't think so?
I mean, he
You know,
has size, but he is so uncoordinated. Like we all we saw him throwing those balls. Like he has not a coordinated bone in his body.
oh man. Well,
But
you know
also,
the
an interesting tidbit here is Leroy says uh, that at this point they have to start making moves because Leroy has got his gold skull. He wants to make some moves, and Leroy says that Fessy is a threat and he wants him gone too. So Leroy is on board with this. He doesn't know exactly how he's going to do it, but Leroy is definitely the same way that Cam wants to get rid of like Teresa and Casey. Leroy wants to get rid of Fessy. They want to get rid of some of those people that are threats in the final.
I will say real quick about Josh and Fessy. We don't know who's better at puzzles. We just saw, I mean, spoiler alert, we'll see Josh beat Mechie, whatever, you know? And Fessy, he's almost always, he's like, only if it's physical. Maybe he's kind of telling on himself. He's like, because otherwise I'll fail. You know, I'm fucking dumb, man.
Ooh,
You know?
Josh could beat Fessy in a puzzle. I stand corrected. That's awesome. Great point. All right.
It's a reach.
Well, I mean, he did that so fast. Like it was insanely fast.
True. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I mean, that is Fessy's weak point, I would assume. That and endurance. All right. Next, we'll get to the mission. It is called All Brawl. Shouldn't it be called Brawl for All? But it's All Brawl.
Yeah, or call it a muddy matter. You know, this is a better you know, it's better than the title of the episode and stuff like that. You know, I'll just going into this real quick. It seemed cool. Like round one was actually you know, it's divided into 3 rounds, right? The first round is kind of interesting. I like that. The round 2 kind of built up. It's like, okay, it's just a straight up pole wrestle. But then round 3 is where it's a big letdown. I was so disappointed. I actually have an idea of how they could have made it better instead and not be so repetitive. But yeah, that's just how I saw this episode where it's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It was a letdown because this was a phenomenal premise, and the first heat or the first round was awesome. And then the second round, you're like, okay, that's cool. But that second round should have been the finish of it. There shouldn't have been a third round. I feel like.
Yeah.
Because the third round, then it just got convoluted, and it was like they're trying to do too much and they're overproducing. Just getting in the way, and it was like, all right, you had it going good, and then it just got a little convoluted at the end.
Well, they actually tried to do something that we've been making fun of them for, where it's like instead of going with like the fastest, you know, they could have done that. They're like, CT, you actually beat Nam faster than what's her name beat what's her name, you know?
Yeah.
It would have been outrageous, but that's what we're used to this season. But instead, they probably heard our advice, and they're like, you're right, you got to put the winners against each other. But it just didn't work out this way. And my idea, let's just split to the end. This is my idea. You know, because it's like, oh, you have the teams work together. Well, let them be in the mud and just work together like a tug of war. That's the closest thing they could have done to make it even. Because can you imagine that? If it was just CT and he throws Big T over his shoulder and he's pulling against Kyle and Cam, he could totally do it. You know?
Yeah. That's what I thought was going to happen. And I was like, oh, great. I'm like, you're going to have a guy and a girl versus a guy and a girl, and they're all fighting over the same relic. I'm like, that would be great. And that's what I thought was going to happen, because I remember TJ is explaining what's going to happen next. And he explains it for like a good 30 to 45 seconds, and I still had no idea what he was talking about. And then it cuts to commercial, and I'm just like, what? I don't know what is happening next. And then you see it's like, oh, you're splitting them into 2 heats. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, CT is going to beat Kyle every time, and Cam is going to beat Big T every time, and then it's a draw. So then ultimately, like we saw, CT kind of just gave up and was just like, whatever, you know, I'll just let him win. He's like, otherwise we're just gonna be here all day.
Well, what he should have done, again, we're just jumping forward in time, but like honestly, CT maybe he should have like kicked Kyle's ass really bad, and he's like, "Listen, fucking Kyle, you piece of shit. Uh, I'm gonna kick your ass every time because what's her name's never gonna beat Cam, right? So if you don't want me to kick your ass needlessly, you put me into elimination so I could get my skull. You know what I mean? CT could have used this in some way, but that wasn't, nothing happened. As soon as Cam and Kyle won, I was like, oh, they're going to, he made a deal with CT. He'll put CT in or something, but that didn't happen. That sucks too, This episode's full of disappointments, man.
Wow, that's a great point. CT should have done something like that. I remember watching it and because CT just got done saying that I need to go in and win this mission so that way I can go in and get a gold skull. And then he has the opportunity to, and kind of just like rolls over and is like, Big T is my partner. So I don't know. Is it the fact that Big T is his partner? Is CT kind of just giving up on the season? Because he does say later in the club where he's like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to chalk it up to a rebuilding season. We'll get it next year.
I don't remember him saying that, actually.
Yeah, he
Whoa.
did. It makes no sense because CT, you can't have a rebuilding year when you're like 38 years old and at the end of your career. Like every season is win now, all right?
He is in his 40s. He's in his 40s.
Is he in his 40s? Yeah.
Yes.
You cannot have a rebuilding year. CT needs to get a new partner. He needs to team up with Teresa or Lolo or Casey. He needs to steal somebody's partner and go for that final.
Is Big T the worst companion out of everyone who's left he could possibly have right now? Because you could look at size, you could be like, well, who's smaller, Amber M or Big T? You know what I mean? But other than that, like, there's some good talent on the female side, and I kind of feel bad for CT. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Big T and Amber M are probably the two weakest girls. And then it's like Amber B and Gabby are next. And then it's probably like Nany and
Teresa.
Yeah. But I feel like Teresa, just how well she did in that like mini final episode for long distance running is so good that like Teresa would be great in a final because of that and her experience as well in a final.
Dang. Should we do this chronologically, heat by heat?
Start at the beginning. So first at the beginning, you have Heat 1. That's going to be Aneesa, Big T, Cam, Lolo, and Nany. And okay. So first, like before they even get into the mud, they cut to like Big T, and it was like one of the funniest moments of the episode for me. And Big T, in her British accent, she's like, "I'm ready to get down and dirty." And it was the funniest freaking thing ever. I
don't know. I love her very posh accent. It's just like everything is like, oh, slightly inconvenienced, like it's a bit Austin Powers like impersonation. Yeah.
Very Austin Powers.
That's awesome.
So they're all in the mucky water and they're trying to find the relic, and they don't know what they're looking for. So they're pulling up rocks. And they cut to Aneesa. Aneesa's like, yeah, we all look like a bunch of hippos in the mud. And it's like, no, just you. Just you.
Oh, Dave. No.
Okay, so first, like, Nany finds it. And she immediately just, like, screams, lifts it up, holding it, and it just starts running with it. And all the girls just converge on her.
She runs into the center of the water when she finds it. Like you have to run out of the water, Nany. She was delirious with like, oh my God. That was a nice little moment when she was like, oh, like that, she was so excited and like happy. And then she ran into the center of the water. Oh my gosh.
And then there's just a giant brawl. Like that's why they called it All Brawl, is basically because of, I think, this brawl right here. Because they're all going after Nani. Nani has almost no chance. And at some point in there, Anissa like is trying to stop Lolo. She puts her arm around her neck, like preventing Lolo from going anywhere. That I think that was this heat, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because that's when she gets pissed.
Yep. And then Nani ends up like throwing the relic towards Cam, and Cam takes it for the victory. And I was not surprised that happened because we've seen other. Remember when like Zach did it and Zach threw it to Wes and Bananas got super pissed at him? I don't know if it was like Vendettas or Reckoning or one of those seasons back then.
War of the Worlds 1.
War of the Worlds 1? Okay, yeah. But all the seasons just blend together. You're such a calculator. I just put in a random moment and you spit out the answer. I'm like, that was from this season.
You ever see Community?
Yeah.
Ever watch with Abed? I'm Abed when it comes to the challenges, man. I'm like, no, that was season 6, episode 5. You know what I mean? And you're my Troy. You're the Troy of the challenge, Dave.
I don't know who Troy is. I feel like it also works for random, obscure Star Trek facts. If I say something, you'll just spit out like, yes, that was episode number 52.
And I always say that in that voice. Okay, well, go on.
I was saying next we have Heat 2. Heat 2 is Fessy, Kyle, Josh, Mekhi, and Nam.
Oh, right.
So this was one of my favorite ones because Nam finds it under the water because everybody just saw what what's her name? What Nani just did, like getting it and holding it up in the air. Nam finds it, but he plays possum. He's like, I've got it. But he's just kind of down on his knees, searching. And he's just like, and people are kind of looking at him like, I wonder if he has it. I'm not sure. And
he's doing a good job, though, because he's coming up with rocks and throwing them in frustration. He's a good little actor. I'd cast him.
Yeah, it was very good. And at one point, Kyle is next to Fessy, and we know that Kyle and Fessy butt heads. Kyle all of a sudden just lifts his arms up and like flinches at him, like to act like he has it, just to fake out Fessy, and it was hilarious. It was really funny.
It was a nice little moment between Kyle. Yeah, they've butted heads exactly. Maybe Kyle, because remember how we both said like Paulie and Kyle, even though they hate each other, or maybe they do, but it's always very playful hate. So it's like if you ever get on Kyle's bad side, Kyle actually will warm up to you a lot more and be really friendly. You know what I mean? It's an odd aspect of knowing Kyle, but I like it. Yeah.
Kyle is slowly becoming one of my favorite people on this season. Like I don't know, he's just so funny to me. Everything he does is hilarious. But
his teeth are too white. Honestly, every time he smiles.
Teeth, and anytime he opens his mouth, I'm just like, just bring those lips back down. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you're at like a concert and you're trying to watch the band on stage, but then one of the lights from the stage like points out into the audience and you're like, oh, it's too bright and you can't see and you have to like squint and look away. That's Kyle's teeth.
Oh yeah.
So Nam, basically he ends up winning. He plays possum with it. And then once he sees the opening, he just sprints up and goes to the finish line and he gets a win. It was awesome. It was a great Nam moment. And they even did, like with Turbo on War of the Worlds, he gets like the Dragon Ball Z moment and they do the little lighting effect. And I was like, yes, Nam. Because that's what we all wanted out of Nam. Because we kind of, like, at least myself, he seemed very familiar, like Turbo, where like his English isn't the greatest, but he's this big jack dude who's completely new. And I'm like, hopefully comes in and dominates. And he hasn't dominated yet. But this was like, okay, this is why we like you, Nam. This is the potential. You're living up to it now, finally.
Oh yeah, and again, he did a very good job of just concealing the way he found that artifact or whatever. But this was all very like the whole concept. I do really like it. It's kind of like you ever see the movie Blood Diamond? When
No.
Jimon Hansu, no, oh shit. Well, this won't land with you at all. But Jimon Hansu is there with a bunch of other dudes, and there's like it's a horrible scenario going on where like these guys with like AK-47s and like cigarettes, they're just like, yeah, keep digging, find all the diamonds and shit. And he finds a giant fucking red blood diamond, and what he does is he immediately is like, okay, don't react, and then he's not wearing any shoes, so he just grips the diamond with his foot, and then he works the next like 8 hours just gripping that thing in his with his foot, while these people with machine guns are like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. So that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, that's perfect. I really want
to because when Nam was actually having that stuff, Fessy and Josh basically had the AK-47s. Remember? Because like Fessy was like on the outside, and Josh was kind of like, I'll kind of look around, but Fessy will be the guard if anyone finds it.
They were positioning themselves to play defense. Like we have to stop him from winning. So next we had Heat 3, which was girls. It was Amber B, Amber M, Gabby, Casey, and Teresa. And this was one of my favorite ones because they're all looking for it. And Teresa finds it. And the second Teresa finds it, this big shit-eating grin is on her face. And it like, the camera cuts away and then it cuts back and she's still smiling ear to ear. And everyone's looking at her like, what the hell? And what it reminded me of was, to do an obscure movie reference, the movie Sandlot with the kids playing baseball. Remember when they go to the pool and Squints jumps into the water, like pretends to drown just so the cheerleader can pull her up, and then all of a sudden he, like, as they're gonna do CPR, the cheerleader's he looks over at the camera and is like, and then he plays dead again. Like, that smile on his face was just like Nani when she found the relic. Just the worst poker face of all time.
Yeah, it was kind of fucked up that people watching could be like, check that person. It was kind of messed up. Yeah.
It was great though. So everyone kind of converges on Teresa. There's kind of a brawl for it, but then Gabby like swoops in from the side, and as Teresa's trying to hold it away from two people, Gabby snatches it from kind of behind to the side of her and gets it and runs up, and Gabby wins.
Yeah, it was nice. At the time, it was really cool. It's like you never see these certain people win at all. So it was nice. Yeah.
And at first I thought that she gave it to Gabby on purpose, but then I rewound it, and it was definitely not on purpose. She was just trying to hold it away from two other people, and then she stole it. It was pretty sweet. Next we have Heat 4. We have CT, Devin, Leroy, Darrell, and Corey. And this is where CT is just taking like little baby steps. He's not using his arms at all. And he's just taking little baby steps because it's like he found it and he's just kicking it along with his feet. And people are like, CT's got it. He's not even looking for it. He's like, I'm looking for it. And it was very obvious that CT had it. Yet no one kind of just went up to CT towards his feet and started feeling around.
They did. There was a nice little moment where CT was walking with it, and I think what he did was he kind of kicked it to the side slightly and kept walking because a little bit, because that's when Leroy actually went up to his feet and checked. And then CT kind of turned around, grabbed the item again, and kept moving in. It was brilliant. It was so good. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Good for you, CT. Smarter than I thought. Yeah. So and then CT picks it up and he runs for the finish and he gets the win.
It was great.
So now we head to round 2, where you have the two winners, CT and Nam, get to face off against each other. And then Gabby and Cam will face off against each other. Gabby and Cam just takes it from Gabby, just basically dominates and gets the win.
Twists her wrists, right? She kind of like yanks it, so Gabby's like, ah! So she just kind of lets go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Now, Was it this one that Cam won, or the one versus Big T, where she just gets to the edge of the water, and then they just call it, and they said it was over,
Oh,
but she didn't get to the finish line. There was
well,
one.
they do that. They do that with CT and Nam.
Yeah, maybe it was that one. Yeah, it was CT and Nam, where you didn't have to actually climb out and get to the finish line. It was
I
very
thought,
strange.
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So CT and Nam, this is an epic battle, this matchup. And I was just like, CT is a wily veteran. He's going to end up winning this. And he does. Like, CT gets Nam down, and he's basically, Nam is on his back, and his head is going underwater, and he's gasping for air while he's trying to hold on to the relic. And CT he's in the power position on top of him. And there's just, and as Nam like tries to get up, CT just pushes him right back down, so Nam falls back with his back in the water again. It was pretty
Yeah,
dumb.
for sure. And again, we have CT, the old fucking grizzled man veteran, you know. He's now we saw what he did to Nam now, and then remember on the truck against Fessy where they wrestled to a draw?
Yeah,
You know, CT's still got gas, motherfucker. He's still there. He's still present. It's great. It's awesome.
yeah. He's no signs of washing up at all.
Is he the Ric Flair like the in his like olden days where he would just like cut himself and like woo, he would do his woo, but he's like bloody and like it looks like he's about to have a heart attack and shit. Like that's CT right now, man.
I think he's more like the Undertaker, you know? Like he
Oh,
goes out there and
yeah.
he's still getting wins, you know? Like
Yeah.
not Undertaker like 2018 Undertaker where he's kind of like
You
a shell
lost
of
me.
himself, but like 2008, 2009 Undertaker where, you know, you've been in the game for 18 years and you're still dominant.
Yeah. And back when CT was like a young man in the Infernos and shit, that was his American badass phase, right?
Yeah. And then does that make DM Paul Bearer? Or, I don't know.
No, she's in that thing. She's in the ashes, what do you call it?
Oh, that's sad. All right, moving on.
Oh, terrible. Oh my god.
We get to round 3, which TJ takes an hour to explain how their partners are going to be involved, and so it'll be Cam and Kyle and CT and Big T, and they're all going to be having an axe battle, but not at the same time, and they're going to take turns, and the first team to 2 wins.
Yeah, which is impossible.
Yeah. And it makes no sense because Kyle is going to lose a CT every time, and then Cam is going to beat Big T every time.
There could have been a way though. There could have been a way, as you know, immediately CT was like, you know, what's the fucking point, you know? But if Big T was willing to just like, I'm gonna keep going round for round against Cam, and she just plays the dead weight, she just clings onto the thing while Cam has to do all the work every round to yank it off, there could be a chance of eventually Cam getting tired, and then after, you know, during all those rounds, you have CT beating the shit out of Kyle. They could have come out with a possible win. It's just right away CT's like, what's the fucking point? Which is why I thought he should have made a deal with Kyle, for fuck's sake. Ugh.
I don't think Big T would have been able to like ever win against Cam, even if you wore down. And I think CT knew that eventually, if he got tired, Kyle would be able to beat him at some point, or at least has a chance to. So if he goes into round 3 or 4 or 5, at some point, because Kyle doesn't really gas out. Like his heart and determination is his biggest attribute in an elimination.
Remember when he was like throwing up after the Jacob elimination? Remember that?
Yeah, that was after.
And he was like, yeah, but that means he was like a good round or 2 away from just like, blah, like he would have been done.
Yeah, but
so
that was completely different circumstances because Kyle had no idea he was going into elimination. He was hungover, probably eating pizza all day, like not taking care of himself. Like he was not prepared to go in. He probably so I don't know. It's like him throwing up. I don't hold that against Kyle, and I don't say like he doesn't have endurance because of that.
Yeah. But either way, we're both going to say this sucks, right? This is very anticlimactic for this entire fucking mission. Sucks.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll move on. We just go back to the house. So like Cam and Kyle are the winners. They are going to be the double agents. We go back to the house, and we kind of just have random scenes of everyone who's talking about who's on the chopping block, you know. And people are saying Anissa and Fessy possibly, and some people are saying Amber M, yeah, Amber M and Mekhi are on the chopping block. We have Cam and Kyle talking. Cam says she wants Josh and Nany to face Mekhi and Amber, which is ultimately what we end up seeing.
All
and
right.
Kyle says, hey, we can use this power to help our friends, or we can use this power to fuck over our enemies. And trust me, the second one is way better. Like, we need to fuck over our enemies here. And I kind of agree with Kyle here because you're at the point where you want to send in two strong competitors to send someone home. Like, you want to get rid of people that you don't want to see in a final. And that's what Kyle wants to do. But Cam is like, she wants to play it safe. She's like, I just want to send in a friend, throw them a bone, get them a win, and, you know, I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Really, it kind of makes sense a little bit just because after this elimination, that will be all the men say, okay, the 5 we want to have skulls, and we can now try our hardest to deny these other people. Maybe that's the assumption. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cam does say, what did she say? She does say that she doesn't want to send in like Fessy because she doesn't want to piss off the Big Brother Alliance because she doesn't want them coming after her. At which point I'm just like, why is the Big Brother Alliance not coming after you? Like, that's the other alliance in the house. Like, I feel like they don't like you anyways, Cam. So if you have a chance to weaken them, you need to kind of use that chance. But I don't know. We'll see how things play out because, like, Teresa, she got a lot of flack for sending in Ashley and Cam against each other to send Ashley home, and everyone was at her throat. But now it's been a couple days later, and Teresa, like Jay, ended up paying the price for that. But Teresa, she's kind of fine now. Like, no one's really talking. She's like she said, like time passes and people forget. And now Teresa's fine. She's just there in the house, and everything's cool. So even though it did piss some people off, she's okay now. So,
Poor Jay.
poor Jay. Next, we have the club scene, which was overall just terrible. Like, everyone is just there's a big hollow room. It just echoes everyone's voice. Super silent. There's no music. It's very weird. Like,
it's cold.
If they're not playing the music over the background of it as they like, you know, showing people walk up to it. It looks like it's fun. And then once they just cut into inside and people are having conversations, it's like quiet and silent. And it does not look like fun at all. They show a couple people talking. They show like Big T and CT are talking. Big T is sorry that she's a bad partner and stuff like that. That's when CT says that, you know, he's just going to chalk it up to a rebuilding year, which I don't like the talk of that. Nany is talking because she's always talking. I don't even remember what she said. Basically nothing happens, and then we go back to the house. And then, okay, we get to something that's kind of interesting. Amber B, who is Darrell's partner, she's got the curly hair, tall, skinny girl, says that she wants to vote for Amber M, even though that they get along and they're really good friends. They're best friends, but everyone's best friends on this season, apparently. But she says she wants to vote for her, even though she's part of the Big Brother Alliance, because it kind of makes sense for her game. she doesn't want to vote in Fessy or Anissa because Fessy is Big Brother. Because she has her alliance, which is Fessy and Big Brother. Then she has her really good friend Amber B. Or Amber M.
So Amber M's not part of Big Brother at all? She's just a rookie, like Amber B?
I'm not sure if she's part of Big Brother at all. She might be.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Might be.
Okay.
But she's part of that alliance for sure.
Yeah, she's the rookie. So maybe she isn't, because I remember complaining that Amber B had the chance to let Teresa win when all the rookie girls were kind of letting her win anyways. And she's like, no, I'm going to fight. And I was like, why? So this is where it's kind of coming up a little bit more, where it's like, no, Amber B is willing to go against Amber M. And they're both going to clash a little bit, but kind of like behind the scenes. You know, they're never actually in the same scene saying, like, I fucking hate you, bitch, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just saying, after this, they go to deliberations and they do the vote. And there's Mekhi is saying, like, I don't want to go in because blah, blah, blah. I want to, you know, he was saying earlier in the episode he wanted to get a win before he went in, so that way he could choose whether he goes in. And it's like, yeah, in a perfect world, that's how it would work. But sometimes you just get thrown in. And so Mekhi says his piece. He says he doesn't want to get thrown in. And then, like, it cut to Leroy, and Leroy's like, oh, is that how this works? Yeah, I don't want to go in either.
That was CT's line. And Leroy, yeah. And then Leroy was like, yeah, me too. You know, something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So it was pretty uneventful. There was that funny line, and then they go in and they do their votes.
Right.
So, and the voting thing was weird because as Kyle and Cam are there, they're watching the votes, but then we, the audience, don't get to see who got voted for. And then they go to commercial, they come back, and there's this big surprise reaction like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person, they got voted in. But then they don't show it to us, the audience. And then what they do is they just say, like, oh, Kyle starts saying to Cam, Amber, I forget the Amber M and Amber B every time. Amber B.
Yes.
Right? Amber
Darrell's
B.
partner.
Yep. Darrell's partner, okay. Yeah. Amber B starts, you know, like, went up to Kyle and said, like, hey, don't tell Amber M that I voted for. I don't want you telling anyone about this because I don't want it to get back to her. So Kyle is just like, if you're giving me free information to fuck you over, I will fuck you over. He says something like that. So that was kind of interesting that Amber M is trying to hide stuff, but ultimately
it's Amber B. Amber B is voting for Amber M. And she said, Kyle, don't tell anyone, but especially Amber M, you know? And Amber M happened to go up to Kyle that same day. It's like, hey, I know you can see who votes or whatever. I don't care what it is, but if Amber B voted for me, let me know. So the Ambers are fighting, Dave. They are fighting.
And ultimately, I couldn't care less because neither of you are going to win an elimination or a final. So just... This is what, like, I wish that rookies would just get voted in early in the season and get sent home. And just, like, until you find a rookie that can win an elimination, then you earn your way onto the show. Because ultimately what happens is you get people like Wes going in and Ashley Mitchell, even though she was brought back, she got sent home, like, the first episode. You have all these good players who get sent home immediately. And then later in the season, we're stuck with Amber M and Amber B, and we're trying to figure out who the hell we're talking about, even though it's episode 8. We have people like Mekhi who are still here. And it's like, they're not any good. They're not going to win. I wish they would have just gotten sent home to begin with. And then all these rivalries could be, you know, like, we could have Wes going in against, you know, someone like Darrell or CT or Nam, like a good matchup that we want to see.
This sounds like some Tory rhetoric here, where she's like, you go in and earn your stripes and shit like that.
Yes, exactly.
Respect has to be put on your name, shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, they put Anissa versus Tori, and then you lose like a big name competitor.
All right, we get it, Dave. You're voting Tory 2024. We get
That's
it.
right. Anissa's gotta go. Or Amber M.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Amber
Oh my
B.
god, I had this striking fear this morning. But it was so I was driving, and on the radio they're like, "Hey, you ever hear of The Challenge?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, we have a podcast and we talk about it on whatever channel." Like, I don't get it at all. I'd have to go and buy it. It might be Sirius XM or something.
I think it's
right?
on Sirius.
Yeah, but the point is, they're like, this thing is hosted by Tori. I'm like, oh, and Anissa. I'm like, no. How does Anissa get everywhere? She is undeniably part of the challenge. And then, so this morning, I was like, it dawned on me. I'm like, I remember I once said, I don't like TJ as a host. Why can't CT host? No, that's not going to happen. You know who's going to fucking host? Anissa. And what's worse, eventually, and then this is where it really capped off, I'm like, it's going to be a Bonham Murray Anissa production. A Bonham Anissa or an Anissa Murray. She's never going away.
With Anissa and Tori.
Yeah.
Okay, so I listened to one episode, and I listened to about 5 minutes, and I had to shut it off because Anissa was the best part of it because she actually talked like a normal person. Tori is laughing and screaming and incoherently laughing the entire time and just screaming. And it's like you couldn't even have a conversation. Like Anissa was trying to have a conversation. Tori is just screaming like a little child the whole time. I couldn't understand anything. I just shut it off.
So is Tori basically the ace of remember Ace? She would be the challenge.
Who's Ace? Ace from the
You don't remember her? No, I remember. I was like, check out this person. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I forgot about her.
And she was huge. She actually had like TJ and like other challengers like videotape themselves like, hey man, check out Ace. Peace out. You know what I mean? I'm like, how? Why her? What?
What happened to her?
She might be making them. I just don't go out of my way to look and hate anymore. I'm like, no, just
I was wondering if she was like a victim of the Me Too movement or something, if she said something, or I don't know. Because randomly, like YouTube celebrities that are super famous, they'll just fall off the map and they'll disappear. And it's like, what happened to you? Like, did you get canceled? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Who
knows?
Have like mental breakdowns and they just like quit doing it because they're not happy.
Yeah, who knows? I know there was a time, I think it was like 2018, something like that, where there was a lot of videos of people saying like, I can't do it anymore, man. Like they're all these YouTubers. They're like, I just want to take a break. I don't know. There's a lot of, and yeah, it was just a big rash of YouTubers saying that in 2018. I don't know if they eventually came back or not, but yeah, there was a lot of burnout for some reason.
Yeah, I remember that happened with like Philip DeFranco, like because he's just cranking out podcasts like 5 days a week, and it's just like, and he's getting millions of views. He's got millions of followers or subscribers. He's like, and once you've started that and you have that much success and that many viewers, like you have an obligation to come out with 5 episodes a week or whatever he was doing. And he just got burnt out on it. And he's just like, he's like, I'm taking like 2-3 weeks off. Like, sorry, going on vacation. I need some mental health time. Gonna work on me. I'm pretty sure he came back and he's doing it still. But like, there was a point where he's just like, dude, I got to take a couple weeks off while I got to step away for a second, which I totally get.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh God, we're 7 days, 8 days late sometimes, and you're like, I'm getting burnt out as well.
I know. This is too much. Once a week, too much.
All right, what's next, man? Let's get back into the episode.
I'm at the end of my notes. They're
Wait, what happens after that? Okay, no, okay.
Next, they just go down to elimination. That's it.
Oh, right. Okay, but again, you said you already mentioned it, but I want to go back to it where it's like they talked about the Amber M and Amber whatever not liking each other, and they're like, so who is it going to be? Who's the agents? And then they don't show who it is. It's a mystery. But it's like, why do that? It's too late in the game to be doing that sort of shit. You know, that seems like it should have been more earth-shattering when it was revealed, you know, because it's just Amber M and Mechie, right? Or Michi, yeah. Whatever his name is. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It was really weird. It was like, why would you need to do that? It was really bizarre.
It didn't make sense to me because as I'm watching the people go in and doing their votes, they show some people voting Anissa and Fessy, and some people voting for Amber and Mechie. And as I'm kind of looking at all the people and all the cast, I'm like, there's almost no way that Amber and Mechie don't go in. Like, just looking at the numbers, it seems very obvious they're going to go in. So I'm like, it doesn't seem like there's even a chance that somehow there'll be a swerve. Then they do that, and they kind of act like, oh, we don't know who's going to go in. But then obviously it was still them, and it was like, well, no shit. I don't know. It was just like last week's episode where TJ's like, guys, if you didn't try, your vote doesn't count. And then they're like, but still, that doesn't change the outcome of this election.
Yeah. And okay, so that's bad on production's part by not showing us, right? But what the fuck was up with Kyle and Cam going, oh my, like they oversold it. It's exactly what they want. Like, I don't know. Like, why did they care so much?
The producers told them in the moment as they're recording, they're like, have like a big shock reaction, all right? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, it's Super Bowl week. We need the numbers. Right?
Yeah. They're basically like the referees trying to rig the Super Bowl so Tom Brady can win again. But it's like, it's not even necessary to do this. It's like Tampa Bay's defense is better than Kansas City's offense. So it's like Tampa's going to win anyways. You don't need to get your dirty hands on it because there's nothing to rig.
Yeah. Or he should be more appropriately called Tom Bananas, right? Because aren't they now 7-7, each of them, in terms of Super Bowl wins? Yeah.
Goats, all time, Johnny Bananas and Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, that's a dirty goat. They're both cheaters in my eyes, man. Dirty goats.
I know.
All right, so where are we? Elimination? The crater?
Yep, down in the crater. So they reveal the votes, and then it's Amber and Mechie, like we all said. Kyle and Cam are up there, and they're like, "Yeah, I love being in this spot. You know, this is the best place to be. They're in control." And as they're up there, they ask them who they're going to send in, and they're like, Nany and Josh, because Cam is friends with Nany. She wants to help Nany out, get her an easy win. And so they go down, but we don't technically know if it's a guy's day or a girl day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At least I didn't know that. There's no rogue agents, so it's kind of hard to tell. The only thing we're going off of is the fact that with the gold skulls, 4 guys have gold skulls, and I think only 2 girls have gold skulls, right?
3, I think, right? Cam. Is it just 2? Cam. Who the fuck? Oh my gosh, we don't know.
Casey?
No. But either way, though, we're trying to say is it shouldn't have been another men's. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Anissa and Cam.
Just them? Okay.
Unless
so either way.
I don't remember Casey getting one.
I don't remember either. Fuck.
I don't think she
But
had.
anyways, what we're saying is it should have been a female. It felt like it should have been a female. We just saw a men's last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious because the whole reason why this thing happened was it was a big mystery at the beginning. And then it was because females were dropping out. So they had, production. But were production after that, they were just like, well, fine. We'll never let you know. It'll always be a mystery. It's lame.
Yeah. It's very super lame. but the thing that kind of tipped it off was when they came back from commercial, they're showing, and you see the giant balls in the rack, well, on the rail, and then you see the giant board with like the skulls on it with like the plexiglass that you got to throw the balls through. And we've seen that before, and when we saw it, we had girls doing it. So if you're going to do it again, it probably has to be guys doing it rather than just having girls doing it again.
Sure.
So yeah, so it's the guys, and it ends up being Josh versus Mechie, and so at first I'm like, you know what? I think Mechie could win this. You know, I'm like Josh. I'm like, because TJ says that it's way harder. The balls are heavier. The glass is reinforced or something, and then and you have to do a puzzle first before you can pull the balls down on that cart.
Right. Well, did you notice that the cart was altered?
No.
When the females had it, the opening was like on the top, like lengthwise, right? So it would have to tip like that. This one, it was like a C almost, so like it would tip rather easily and the balls would fall. This other one was like boom. This one was like clink, like really, yeah. So they made that easier, right? It's like, okay, but then they put the puzzle there. Yeah.
So they're basically admitting that Tori kind of got screwed over.
Yeah.
That it wasn't built properly.
Exactly. And then, okay, but they have a puzzle, right? They finally did it right when it comes to eliminations. Don't let people up there help you or confuse you on your puzzle. I've always thought that way. I've always said, like, it's completely not right to have participants help or influence, It's like, it's influencing our election, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. That's really the worst when you have people hollering down answers to people to help them win. But like Josh doesn't even need anybody's help. Josh does it like insanely fast. And it's crazy because I never thought of Josh as a smart person, but apparently he's really good at this puzzle. And then Mechie, he goes the entire time, as we'll see, and he can never solve the puzzle. He's just has no idea what he's doing. It sucks. And Josh, after he finishes his puzzle, he gets his balls, and Josh starts throwing these balls, or at least trying to throw these balls, and it is the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like the movie Sandlot with the kid who doesn't know how to throw the baseball, and he's just like, and he just throws it like a girl every time. Josh, I don't think Josh has ever thrown a baseball or a football in his entire life.
Oh my gosh. But then even when he did throw it, he would just hit the beams of it, like the parts that aren't meant to be hit at all. He's hitting the framework. Yeah. It was unreal. And like, you mentioned the Sandlot. I just wish Josh would have remember that part where he's like gonna throw it and instead he's like he just walks up to him. It up. He's like, sorry, walks away. Terrific.
It's funny. It was like Darrell and CT. Everybody's just laughing hysterically, pointing and laughing at Josh. And it is just like, oh my gosh, Josh can't do this. So as you're watching, you're thinking like, oh, Mechie, once he finishes his puzzle, he'll be able to do this and he'll throw the ball like a normal human being and be able to win this. But Josh, eventually he starts to throw it, and so the puzzle that they put together, it showed you the panels on the board that you needed to aim for. So that's already kind of it gives you the clues. You don't need to just throw it randomly. So he knows exactly where to throw it. He eventually realizes that he can't throw the bigger balls. He's throwing the smaller ones that look like volleyballs. He's throwing those because he can get a little more strength behind it. And he's throwing those through, and it seemed like the plexiglass just broke immediately, where it didn't seem like it was as tough because Anissa, she would hit the panels and they wouldn't even break sometimes. But Josh seemed to get the hang of it, and he would just smash through them. Josh ends up getting the win, and Josh is basically acting like he just won the Super Bowl. He's freaking out. He's so excited. He's like, yes. He's like breaking down in tears. He's crying. He's like, I did it for my family. He's like, this is what it's like to win an elimination, man. This is awesome.
He pronounced it a limb.
Yeah.
So this is how you get a win in a limb, huh? I'm like, in a limb?
Yeah.
Yes. I like it.
Josh is so happy that he won. He's so amped up, like he's the greatest victory of all time. Meanwhile, the guy he was going against couldn't even solve the puzzle. It wasn't even a competition because the guy couldn't even get past the first puzzle. So it's like, yeah, you beat him at a puzzle. Good job, Josh. But you look like a complete idiot trying to throw those balls because you don't know how to throw anything. I don't know. It was a very unimpressive victory because of the person he was going against. It was the weakest competitor in the house. Like, I'm sorry,
the weakest puzzler. We don't
Yeah.
know. Well, and again, that's another con. That's the one con of not letting people interfere with the puzzles because someone will need that help and they won't get it. So there you go.
Yeah.
So what happens next? He stays with Nani, right?
Yeah. He chooses to stay with Nani, which I thought was a little interesting. I thought he might take Casey because Big Brother,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
thought he might go for an upgrade, but he didn't.
Or take Cam back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now that all 5 skulls are out for the men, what happens now? As in, like, okay, if you if someone who has a skull wins, and then the house vote is someone who doesn't have a skull, do you have to vote in? You know what I mean? Like, could you deny someone an entire skull next week? You know what I mean? Or next men's elimination.
So
What's
here's
the rule?
what if CT gets voted in, and then the double agents say, hey, Darrell, you're going to face CT. Neither of you have a gold skull. There's only 5 of them. So we're going to send someone home, but the winner will not get a gold skull.
Yes, that would be diabolical.
That can't happen because MTV would be screwing up so bad if they did that, right? They have to say you can only send in someone with a gold skull. They have to make that rule, right?
That sucks, man, because that really sucks. Okay, so then if you win a skull, what happens here? Someone with a skull wins the mission, right? The house votes in a guy with a skull, and then the double agents vote in a guy that has a skull. What happens then?
So the winner keeps their skull, and then there's just a skull that goes up for grabs again.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck, yeah.
So, I mean, it's very messy. It's almost as if production should have evenly spread out the skulls between the guys and the girls. Even if that means having a couple girls' days in a row to get them some gold skulls.
I just want to say this. I'm not really sure if I like this whole skull thing. It was introduced last season. It's here on this one. I don't know if I like it because as soon as someone goes in and gets their skull, the heat's off of them for the most part. They don't go in for a while. It's all about someone else. Like we assumed, or at least I assumed, that Bananas would be going in a lot last season. But he just had to go in one time, and they didn't bother after that, So, or with most people.
They just end up taking turns. Everyone takes turns going in, and then if you get one, like, good for you, you're probably not going to go in again.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of The Island where they had the keys, And it's like once somebody gets a key, then all you're trying to do is help your other person in your alliance get a key, I think what they need to do is kind of like on The Island is they need to have a mission like a daily mission where the winner of that mission gets a key or something like that. Spice it up that way.
Ugh, God. I don't think they should ever repeat anything that they did on the island.
I do like the drop boxes with the food in it.
That was awesome. That was cool.
Where you had to like swim out and like try and get some food. They could do it with like they could have masks and hand sanitizer and like bottles of wine or something like that, some booze in there.
Right, yeah.
Just get the
Yeah, I
airdrop
mean,
during quarantine, that would be kind of awesome. And then there's also like a CD player with some music so they can listen to something.
no music on the challenge. Sorry. Not since 2000 whatever, man. All right. Okay, so he stays with Nani. So then we have someone. Isn't there a new team? Isn't someone who just got eliminated? Oh, Amber M. Amber M is now the rogue agent, right?
Yeah.
Let's just hope that when she does get to pair it with someone after the next female elimination, that's this guy. Yeah.
Good luck, Vince.
I'm gonna need it. All right, man. Well, that was the end of the episode, right? Is there anything else to say?
I don't think so. Just like as next week is trivia, we see that on the.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Oh, next week is trivia, which is always super random, and I'm sure they're going to give some softball questions, and the winner will definitely be CT or Darrell, right? It has to happen. The challenge will try and rig it to make sure that one of those guys can go in.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I hope that CT or Darrell or Nam gets their chance because I don't want it to be like Fessy versus Josh and they both have a red skull already.
Right, yeah.
Gold skull.
Gold skull, yeah.
Blood
that was a new thing. Remember, they came in and now the skull at the entry door is gold now?
Yeah.
Notice that? Yeah. Well, Dave, it's times like this that I just want to say like, subscribe, comment. Although I'm terrible at responding to comments. They're mostly god awful.
They're mostly just critiques, but keep them coming.
Yeah, this was oh no, you do it, man. What was this?
This was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Famous Dave.
And rated E for everyone, Vincent Cloud.
All right.
GameStop. Go to GameStop.
Buy GameStop to the moon.